Hey everybody, I'm Psychroclasm, and this is The Horns. Now, it's a Windows version of an upcoming mobile game, but it's a choose-your-own-adventure style kind of... I don't really know how to explain it, but choose-your-own-adventure is the part I'm trying to get across here. I'm only going to play once. Because I don't want to go through all the endings. I want to leave something for you in case you decide you want to play it. The link's going to be down in the description. Anyway, I think my question here is, do I want to make good decisions and try to last, or do I want to make horrible decisions and succumb to unknowable horrors immediately? So let's see. You're lying on a dirt floor in the dark. You do not recall how you came to be here. Ahead you can see a 5-foot rectangular shape outlined in dim purple light. Something glints on the ground by your foot. So, do I examine the glint or touch the rectangle? Now, you say touch the rectangle. I thought that was going to be a door. So, I say examine the glint. You feel around in the dirt by your feet and find something. Lifting it to your face, you can make out some sort of key. You put the rusty key in your pack. And then I touch the rectangle. Okay, so I didn't lose the ability to touch the rectangle. You hear a metallic rattle. A door, perhaps? Exploring the surface, you feel a slot. A key. Okay. You can hear something moving on the other side of the door. Of course I can. You could try using an object. Now let's just push it. You shove the door with your hands, then your shoulder. The door moves slightly, but remains firm. Okay. Okay, a rusted iron key. The metal is so corroded it looks like it might turn to dust. It'll open any lock, but only once, right? The bone key slips in to lock the door. You unlock it with a click, and the key comes to dust. Okay. So I have a feeling that's going to be a recurring theme, like one-time use keys. The door swings open a little. Wan purple light spills into the room. Well, given that's my only option, sure, I'll go in the room. The door opens easily, allowing a cold, damp breeze to fill the room. Slimy cobbles mark a path leading into the fog towards a distant purple glow. The ground begins to shake. The sound of distant horns fills the air, echoing around you. It's louder than anything you've ever heard. Let's plug my ears. You try to block out the sound, you can still hear it. It's so loud your teeth rattle in your skull. Eventually the ground stops shaking, you can drop your hands from your head. You can still hear the blast of the horn's blare fading into the silence. You feel as if you ignored a call to prayer, to sanctuary. Tears well up in your eyes. Somehow those horns represent your one hope of survival, and you must find them. I don't know about all that. The purple light is getting closer. Then a sound nearby. A footfall? Close, very close. Something in the mist to your right. Something has found you. A figure approaches you out of the gloom. She's a grim-faced, middle-aged woman. You realize that she, too, seeks the horns. Wordlessly, she joins you. A grim-faced, middle-aged woman. She tells you her job involved running and angry shouting, but she seems calm. That's good. Calm for now. Let's see. Running around and screaming. I'm going to go with stockbroker. Oh, we've advanced, I think. You move on towards the horns. The path ahead dangles downwards as you crest a hill. You can hear the sea somewhere to your left, far off in the gloom. Looking ahead, you can see the outlines of sagging buildings and occasionally a light. Is it a village? A nearby bonfire burns with a purple flame. Why is everything purple? You can hear soothing whispers from its glow. Rest, for sure. You sit and close your eyes. You feel the flames wash over you. When you open your eyes, the flame is gone. You and your companion feel healthier and calmer. You move on towards the horns. You see a cobbled village square. At its center, at its center, in wood-painted bone white, is a gazebo. On a raised dais in the middle of... I'm having trouble reading today. On a raised dais in the middle is a gramophone. It's playing up-tempo jazz. The sound is somehow distorted. Editing me. Add in distorted up-tempo jazz. warps and shifts, broken and uneven. For some reason, the sound fills you with fear. You're about to flee when you hear a smash and a shriek from somewhere up ahead. Something is close. Something inhuman. What do you mean flee anyway? As if fleeing was not... As if I was fleeing until I heard the inhuman thing? Enter the gazebo, I think. You try to ignore the unsettling effects of the music as you run into the gazebo. With your back to the whirring machine, you peer out into the fog trying to see what caused the noises you heard. The music plays on. You feel a crushing sense of dread. It's all you can do not to run into the mist. So I can see my health and my sanity meter up here. So what I want to do is stay and smash the gramophone. But I don't know if it's going to let me do that. So let's just stay and see what happens. You ignore the feelings of terror as you stare into the fog. You see something silhouetted against the mist, something large and jittering strangely. The music plays on. Terror engulfs you like a rolling wave. There's my sanity. You want to run. You must. You begin to scream, to shout, to claw at your face in terror. As you scream, you glance out into the dark. Through the madness, you realize that the creature has stopped its approach. Does it too feel the effects of this place? The urge to flee is overwhelming. When you are sure the creature is gone, you bolt and run into the fog. You run until you can't hear the music. You run until you can run no further. You move on towards the horns. You hear the sea again. Waves slosh against a jetty pinion somewhere nearby. As you approach, you can make out what looks like a moldering fishing boat moored to one of the capstans. Nets hang over the boat's side like cobwebs, and a large plank leads from the jetty to the deck. You wonder if the vessel might be a good place to hole up for a while and recover. I can't imagine they're giving me 2 places to recover in a row. And boats tend to be for going places, and I say we move on. I move on towards the horns. The cottage up ahead has been badly damaged. A sidewall has come away completely, and you can see the remaining floors inside like a dollhouse. The ground floor has been ravaged. Deep claw marks scar the interior pillars, and the furnishing has been ripped to ribbons. Upstairs, someone has set up several beds and extended a tarpaulin to protect the area from rain. Beds? You need sleep, badly. Perhaps you could rest here? You look at the claw marks and wonder. I'm going to sleep here. Half the stairwell has been ripped away. You clamber over various stacked pieces of furniture to gain access to the upper floor. The beds are clean, and the linen shows no sign of mildew or rot, astonishing given the dampness and exposure. You both unsling your packs and remove your outside clothes. You notice the look of delight on your companion's face as she slips between the sheets. She's right. It feels like utter decadence. Ah, shit, they're too clean. It's actually a monster that looks like a bed. It takes only a second before you relax and fall asleep. Oh, no, everything's okay. I got my sanity back. You feel calmer. You're woken by the sounds outside. You hear a cackle in the distance. Something large is moving about in the fog. You look into the dark but can see nothing. Regardless, you know something is close. You wake your companion and gesture out into the dark. They understand and begin to dress hastily. You gather your things quietly, ever vigilant. You can't see anything outside, but you know there's something there. And it's close. The grim-faced, middle-aged woman tells you part of her memory has returned. She remembers she used to be a mobster. Okay. Also, I don't like this, because everything... Okay. So everything's gone red. I'm assuming in a fight. I'm assuming I'm in a fight. There's 2 eyes covering parts of my sanity meter, and 2 skulls covering part of my health meter, but I only had... Did I have 5 the whole time? But yeah, anyway. I wouldn't think that running and yelling is a large part of being a mobster, but okay. Literally, okay. Okay, combat. A coarse-haired bird-like terror emerges from the gloom and begins to move towards you. Skulls show potential life... Oh, it's explaining it to me. Okay. And shows potential sanity loss. Use items and survivor abilities to remove these. If you cannot remove all the skulls or eyes, press the large button at the bottom to end the combat and suffer the consequences. Flee and take damage? Okay. And she now refuses to make eye contact. Okay. So, I don't think there's anything I can do right now, so I'm going to flee and take the 1 health and 2 sanity damage. The coarse-haired bird-like terror glides overhead and slashes you with talons' feet as it passes. You flee through the rotten ruins of wooden buildings. Injured and terrified, you eventually escape the terror. When you stop running, you realize the horns are as far away as ever. The path opens into a circular area about a foot lower than surrounding land. Old pieces of cooking equipment, toys, bones, and other assorted items are scattered evenly about the place. Your foot catches the corner of a rusty key. Surprisingly, it barely moves, as if it were somehow bonded to the earth. Ignore it. Because I don't like the way it said everything is spread evenly, so I'm thinking it's a horde or it's part of the skin of some creature. And man, I really should have done it, because that would have made a far more interesting playthrough. You spy a section of old tabloid newsprint fluttering in the breeze. A block of text below a photograph of foggy London streets is written. It's a P super, alright. The piece states that the city's been experiencing a thick fog for many months, with much speculation as to its origin. The article suggests, rather hopefully, that the fog might soon disappear. You drop the paper and move on. You move on towards the horns. Okay, I'm almost there. The road curves around a circle of bare earth dotted with a dozen or so crouched humanoid figures. You realize they're statues, each sitting cross-legged, with their mouths turned up to the sky. The only exception is a female statue whose arms are outstretched with palms turned upward, her head bowed. Okay. Made it to Chapter 2. You move on towards the horns. The path changes, now no more than a wheel-rutted track leading through a vast plain covered with tall plants. They look like crops. Perhaps this was a farm once? Nearby you see a patch of scorched earth. In the center is a bonfire burning with pale purple flame. Yeah! We gotta rest with the purple fire. I'll only get 1 back? Okay, you smell it before you see it. To your right, rotten wooden slats and stinking mud suggest a pigsty. In the distance, on the edge of the fog, is the low silhouette of a hog house. It is silent. A corpse lies in the center with one arm outstretched. It's holding a shard of glass. Enter and take it, because that's the only weapon I've seen so far. You vault the creaking fence, land, and sink 6 inches into the muck. There's a squeal from the pig pen as you wade towards your prize. Something huge and pale begins to squelch its way towards you. It resembles a huge hog, but it has no eyes. You realize you will not reach the mirror shard before the creature reaches you. Taking it anyway. You snatch the mirror shard and begin to head back the path as quickly as you can. There's a squeal, a large squelch, and then a pain in your ankle as something bites down. You yank your leg from the creature's jaws, and with a desperate leap you clamber under the fence and back to the path. The pig thing stops, turns away, and begins to feast on the corpse. All interest in you now gone. Take it. It can be used as a weapon or to cut things. Oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to have 2 of those now. Okay, she seems calm now. Okay, so there's going to be an encounter in my next step, so I wonder if I get to rest here, maybe? The path leads through a bare field. Up ahead you see a humanoid figure dressed in a ragged suit with a sackcloth head. A scarecrow? Oh. Yeah, that's a normal scarecrow. I don't know why I was so afraid of that. Scarecrow it must be, but the proportions are unsettling. The limbs are too long and the cocked head seems to stare. But then, perhaps the scarecrow's bulging pockets contain something of use. Let's take some time and search it. You approach the suited figure. The smell of spoiled meat becomes almost unbearable. You search the various pockets and pat down the heavy straw-filled limbs. The torso, shoulders, and hips seem odd. You hear that, right? The torso, shoulders, and hips seem oddly solid. You touch the head. With a soft rip, the sack head, Stick's mouth falls open to reveal the moist flesh of a rotten human. Of course that's sanity damage. You grit your teeth and finish your search, finding a lantern in an inside pocket. Hell yeah, take it. You put the summoning lantern in your pack. Okay. The lantern's made of finely wrought metal, black metal and thin filigree glass. The guttering purple glow within calls out to you. It will call to others like you. Awesome! Okay, a luminous wraith-like creature emerges from the gloom and begins to move towards you. Okay. So, let her fight. Can I use the lantern now? You turn the small knob. You turn the small knob at the base of the lantern, and the top opens with a creak. A ball of purple light rises into the air, hovers for a moment, and disappears off into the distance. With a final rattle, the lantern falls apart. The creature falls to the ground dead. You're unharmed by the encounter. A primitive-looking axe is... Hell yeah, take it! You pick up the brittle axe and put it in your pack. Sharp but delicate, so it's a one-time use item. Ah, hell, we're gonna have another monster encounter. Move on towards the horn. Something humanoid emerges from the gloom. Another survivor? Maybe they saw the lantern. Yes! She's a tall, middle-aged woman. Oh, God, I have an entire party of tall, middle-aged women. Wow. She tells you she remembers her job involved traveling and a lot of blood. But she seems calm. So I've got 2 to sacrifice to the monsters now. You see a small ramshackle shed up ahead. Windows are thick with filth. As you approach, you realize you can hear a low moan coming from inside the structure. Wiping off one of the filthy planes, you can make out someone lying on the floor. They're moving, and they are alive. Investigate. The door's locked or jammed. The building is in such poor repair that either could be true. A window near the door might offer a way to open the lock from inside if you broke it with an object. You could just ignore the cries and move on. I am going to use my axe. Oh, is that... Oh, it removes 2... Okay. Got it. You smash the primitive-looking axe against the window pane in an effort to break the glass. Eventually, both shatter. You reach through the shattered pane and unlock the door from the inside. The door swings open. One light reveals someone with a sack over there. Ah, not a sack person. Someone with a sack over their head lying in the shadows. It looks like their arms are bound. Oh! As you untie the knots and remove the sack, they begin to stir. Rise and they look at the open door and then back to you with gratitude. You take a moment to look at your rescuee. She's a grim, middle-aged woman. What is her job? A lot of blood and helping people. So, traveling and a lot of blood and helping people. Okay. You find a piece of newspaper on the path. It reads, "Fog thickens. Government says remain indoors." There are editorial comments about the failure of the Clean Air Act, together with the usual blame aimed at the poor. A final sentence suggests that the government should be doing something more about the fog. You wonder what the author thought the government could do as you toss the paper aside and continue into the fog. One more and then it's combat time. You see trees up ahead, low and rounded. Not like the rest of the forest. As you approach, you can see fruit hanging from the branches. Is this an orchard? You look closer. Much of the fruit is withered, but some looks to be good enough to eat. As you scan the trees, you hear a whisper of grass from somewhere in the fog. Movement. You feel like something is watching. I don't think that eating an apple is going to restore my sanity, and I'm only lacking 1 health point right now. So I'm going to take the chance and move on to combat. You and your companions walk away from the orchard quietly and regretfully. The ache in your stomach is worse than it was before you found this place. You console yourself with the thought you must be alive to be hungry. Oh, there's a 3 loss? Damn! Okay. Okay. So... The grim-faced middle-aged woman waves and shouts at the shape. Okay, so distract reduces sanity damage. Oh, sweet! You flee through the fields, your face whipped by stalks of moldering wheat. The distraction allows you to get away from the shape. You manage to find the path again fairly easily. Awesome! The tall middle-aged woman tells you part of her memory has returned. She remembers she used to be a soldier. Is that traveling in blood? Yeah, she was the first one I got, so her memory would have returned first. The grim-faced middle-aged woman stops you for a moment. She's reached her limit and doesn't want to go any further. You both understand that your survival may depend on staying together. It seems that for her, survival is not enough. She simply wants to stay here and wait for whatever comes next. I don't know which one I'm losing, is the problem here. But I am not in the business of forcing anybody to do anything, so... You take her hand firmly and give it a squeeze. You both know it's unlikely that you'll see each other again. Though sad, the right to choose poorly is important. It makes us human. Some people aren't made for a journey like this. For some, a certain death is preferable to an uncertain existence. Humanity is increased. As you part, you glance back, you see nothing. She's already been swallowed by the mist. Okay, so which one did I lose? Okay, so I lost my first one. And it's only intuition that tells me that I need to head towards the horns. This is a world of purple fire. Hey, the other lady's a doctor. You move on towards the horns. Does that mean she can heal me? Ahead, trees rise up to block the sky, a forest. At the entrance is a cleared circle of dirt with a bonfire in the center. Hell yeah. I will always rest at the fire. The fire is safe. Movement close by. Something's passing through the trees. Something that isn't human. You hear another sound from up ahead. Someone is whispering, trying to get your attention. You weigh the risks of responding. Okay, so the doctor can heal me. And she will probably be better at combat from now on. Something is trying to get my attention. I am going to exercise my human right to choose poorly and whisper back at it. You whisper into the fog. There's a brief moment of silence and then the sound of rapid footsteps. And someone runs to you, clearly terrified. Another survivor! Yeah! She's a short-haired, middle-aged woman. You realize that she, too, seeks the horns. Wordlessly, she joins you. Okay. The bird-like horror. Is that like a guaranteed sanity loss? I wonder what that means. Okay, so let's go for 2 distractions this time. Okay, we got it. You flee through ferns and bushes, thorns and twigs lashing at your face. The distraction allows you to get away from the horror. You manage to find the path again fairly easily. You move on towards the horns. You hear the bubbling of water. It must be a river. Approaching, you see a stone bridge a little to your left. Something glints against the shoreline far off to the right. Is it a key? You make your way to the glint. It was much farther away than you thought. Among the reeds, you see a bottle of dark liquid. You use the potion of you put the potion of concealment in your pack. Okay. You feel less certain of your path to the horns. Oh, does that mean like I lose a day? You see a woman clad in a simple shift, her head swathed in filthy cloth. She cradles the sheaf of rotten corn like a baby. As she hears your approach, she asks you if you're ready for the harvest, and if you're ready to receive her. You turn to leave. The woman's voice becomes garbled and shrill. You think she might have said palace of worms. Something about those words resonates with you horribly. You hurry into the fog. You hear something large moving in the brush. You look around for somewhere to hide. Set into a tangle of roots is a small wooden door. Looking through the keyhole, you can see a path. Quiet and safe. A brief pull at the door suggests it's locked. You hear a shriek nearby. You need to do something fast. The short-haired, middle-aged woman tells you of her memories, or tells you that her memories have returned. She remembers she used to be a mobster. Hey, I got another mobster. You move on towards the horns. Several of the trees in front of you shimmer slightly. There's a sound, perhaps a bell or a ringing prayer bowl? You experiment with your position and discover that the distortion of sound alter with your proximity to a specific area. There's something nearby that there's something nearby that cannot be seen with the naked eye. You feel like you'd need some kind of lens to make sense of it all. You try to use the shard of glass, but there's no effect. Did I still lose it? Okay. An oozing insectile terror emerges from the gloom and begins to move towards you. Okay, so... Oh, if you cannot remove all of this or this, which means that in this case I need to shoot for physical damage. Because I don't have 3 distractions. Okay, so I've got 2 fights. And I don't have to use my glass. And the terror falls to the ground dead. You're unharmed by the encounter. Hell yeah, take the lantern. You smell rot and hear the sound of flies. Something huge and black with too many limbs lies on the forest floor. It is quite dead. Between the 2 of the cluster of compound eyes, you see something that looks like a handle. A primitive-looking axe. Hell yeah, take the primitive-looking axe. You see the remnants of a hut up ahead. Perhaps a hunter's lodge? A little bit of wooden floor and a few pieces of stone remain to define its former dimensions. You can see a rough stone wall behind the ruin. Muted weeping echoes up from its depths. Is something down there? My people have not recovered yet. But I'm going to call out anyway as another stupid decision. You whisper into the well. Oh, did it say stone well instead of stone wall? Oh, no. A cry wafts up in response. Something is moving down there, standing. A pale face peers at you from the well's bottom. They're human and clearly trapped. You could rescue them if you had a rope and sufficient trust. Oh. Well, that's sad. The path ends at a great gray wall about 30 feet tall. Beyond it, you can make out the tall, twisted shapes of a city skyline. A large opening in the wall is partially obscured by rubble. Inside, you can see steps descending into a concrete tunnel. The interior is lit with flickering electric lamps set into the ceiling. The fog has infiltrated even here, limiting the lamp's effect. A bonfire burns at the bottom of the steps. You consider resting. Yeah, I will. And now I'm fully recovered. Finally. You and your companions feel healthier and calmer, and you move on towards the horns. Ahead, you can see a formal-looking sign near the side of the path. It reads, "Warning, Restricted Zone. Do not try to leave this area. Curfew violations are met with deadly force." Someone seems to have scrawled something indecipherable below the sign's text. It's only as you get closer that you realize it's not writing, but a smear of blood. You walk away without looking back. The tunnel opens out to a wide chamber. Bolted to the floor, in the center is a metallic chair with black rubber armrests. A brown circular stain surrounds the seat, and odd sigils are drawn at intervals around the circle. Your skin grows warm as you approach the chair. It's as if you're being bathed in warm sunlight. I'm 2 spaces away from... Man, I'm just doing bad decisions now. You sit in the chair and immediately find yourself feeling warm and comfortable. You feel waves of gentle pressure flow down your body as if your skin were being caressed. You find yourself closing your eyes as your aches and pains flow away and your body heals. You feel healthier. Okay, so creepy stained chair is healthy. Oh, the sensation passes. After a few moments you attempt to open your eyes. You cannot. In the blackness behind your eyelids, something huge and blind gropes its way towards you. It is crossing the interstellar vastness to find your physical form. It reaches you, touching your scalp with a chitinous limb. Damn it. You awaken screaming on the floor at the base of the chair, and the experience has taken its toll. Damn it. The tunnel opens up to a circular room. You can just make out an exit through the gloom on the far side. In the center of the room is a tiled circular column stretching from floor to ceiling. You notice a football-sized opening in the column at waist height. A small shelf is visible in the opening. Far above the hole, out of reach, is a small window. You can see a rope behind the glass. Let's examine the opening. You check the shelf more thoroughly, feeling around the interior walls and touching the shelf. You barely have time to pull out your hand as the shelf moves down and a metal door scythes shut. Glancing through the window above, you can see the object move down and then back up as the mechanism resets. It appears that any weight on the shelf brings down the item from inside the cylinder. But what good does that do me? I will try... You place the item on the shelf. The shelf begins to move down and the metal door shuts once more. There's a slight squeak as the pulleys engage and the door opens to reveal a rope. Take it. Okay, so I've got 2 and 3. I got a fight and a distract and a fight. So we are going to fight. No. Because the only other thing I have is my axe. So I need to use the axe. The creature falls to the ground dead. You are unharmed by the encounter. And a primitive-looking axe is lying on the corpse. You pass into an opening into a large room. Inside, the lighting flickers uncertainly. You can see shelves filled with empty medical supply boxes on the far side of the room. Was this an emergency hospital? You hear moaning from somewhere in the room. You're fairly sure it's human. Okay, so I did lose my original axe. So, I don't know if there's a time interval that causes your people to leave, or maybe if you use them too many times they decide to leave. So I'm just going to get all the help I can. And that's also why I've been holding that lantern, just so I can call somebody in case of an emergency. Because 2 of my people showed up together, basically. The ceiling in this room is about 10 feet high. Pairs of large rusted hooks pepper the ceiling about 6 feet apart. Sagging cloth hammocks hang from some of the hooks, while only dangling tatters remain on others. The intact hammocks seem to be weighed down as if occupied. Examine a hammock. Find a horror. You pull down the side of one hammock to view its contents. An arm flops over the side, mottled gray, diseased, and dead. The arm has no fingers. The digits on the hand have fused into a single, long, flexible protuberance. The lights flicker up again, and you catch a glimpse of the face you wish you hadn't. The thing's lower jaw is missing. Its face is a riot of small, jet-black eyes, like those of a spider. Reflexively, you let go of the hammock. It creaks back and forth for some time, throwing skittering shadows across the room. There's a noise behind you from another occupied hammock. As you watch, a shape within bucks and writhes. You hear a low moan. Then the movement ceases and the room is quiet once more. Examine it. You pull down the side of the hammock to get a better look. The hammock convulses and its occupant flops onto the floor. It's humanoid, swaddled in filthy bandages. You stand back and watch in horror as it rises to its feet and begins tearing at the gray cloth wrapping its face. Within moments, you're staring at a person. It's another survivor like you. How long is the hair of this middle-aged woman? You take a long look at them. Oh, he's a bearded middle-aged man. You realize that he too seeks the horns, and wordlessly he joins you. You pass under a grill in the ceiling. Resting on the metal lattice just out of reach is a bottle of white liquid. You push and pull at it from below, but the grill does not move. Just ahead, you can see a door set into the left side of the tunnel. On the door is a small white sign, a set of stairs, and an arrow pointing up. Yes? You push the door open and ascend the metal steps carefully. The steps protest with each footstep. At the top, you see a small room with another door like the one you came through. There's an empty grill on the floor and another grill in the ceiling with something on it, a bottle of white liquid. We go back. And we got another jittering insectile terror. So we got 2 distracts. I'm going to use my distracts this time. Alright, we are safe. I only have 3 sanity to work with here. The tunnel makes a hard right turn. It seems to be directing you away from the horns. Ahead, a tiny arch near the floor, like a giant mouse hole, seems to lead straight through the wall. Is it a shortcut? You duck down to peer into the arch and see movement. Tiny, writhing things, pale and blind, cling to every surface. It looks disgusting, but it must be quicker than the alternative detour. How do I know? Am I going to take sanity damage from this? I'm taking the tunnel. A church flyer is caught between 2 small pieces of rock. You pick it up and examine it. On the front you see the words Final Harvest. We call out to she who rides. Below are several arcane symbols surrounding a skull surmounting a wheat sheaf. On the skull's forehead is a rough sigil. As you look at the symbol, your stomach lurches and you suppress the urge to vomit. You drop the flyer and hurry on. The bearded middle-aged man tells you that a part of his memory has returned. He remembers he used to be an archaeologist. Okay, so we're in the city, and I'm assuming the city is the end. The tunnel ends at a large iron door. You push and it swings open with a groan. Street lamps outline several vast, twisted buildings nearby. They're wreathed in fog like everywhere else. The buildings look warped, almost diseased, but the horns lie somewhere within. You're certain of it. You see the telltale flickering of a blue flame just outside the door. A bonfire. Now, they were purple before. The road ends at a steep drop down into the fog. You can hear water. A deep canal comes into view, blocking the way forward. To the right, a tall tower of concrete rises 100 feet into the air. You can make out its twin on the other side of the water. Between the 2 towers, high in the air, you can see some kind of enclosed bridge spanning the gap. The bridge seems like it would be the quickest way to cross the canal. The nearest tower's main door appears to be open. This seems dangerous, but I'm going to do it. You enter the concrete doorway. There's no door frame and no sign of the door itself, just a hole. Oh no. The hallway is lit by small bright lights inset into the walls near the ceiling. As you explore the space, you notice there's nothing else in here. No desks, no furniture, no signs of habitation. Because this is also a monster, right? After a series of seemingly pointless turns, you find the beginning of a stairwell. Hot, musty air blows upward from the darkness below. Definitely go up. You climb the stairs. There are so many. You lose count after 100 and your legs begin to protest. It's when you pause that you realize something has changed. The harsh right angles of stone have slowly given way to softer, more organic forms. The stairwell now spirals rather than turns. The railings are no longer metal tubes, but smooth and molded into the stairwell's walls. Move on or move on? Let's move on. Oh, I guess that means we left the building. You pass a line of telephone poles, their wires hanging limp and useless against the concrete. Something about them reminds you how much the world is lost. Communication, connection, and cooperation. You notice a lockbox attached to one of the poles. It's about 5 feet off the ground. The padlock holding it looks rusty. A good swing with something other than your fist would probably open it. I can't afford it. Because it looks like I have 3 fighters now, maybe. Would an archaeologist fight, do you think? I'm 3 steps away. I'm moving on. A writhing, many-eyed terror emerges from the gloom and begins to move towards you. I need 2 distracts, and I have that. Okay, so I've actually got 2 distracts and 2 fights. So I'm going to distract and distract again. You run through the streets, tripping over rubble and barbed wire. The Distraction allows you to get away from the terror. You manage to find the path again fairly easily. You hear a roaring sound to your right, followed by a prolonged shriek. Something large and rectangular bursts from the fog. It's an old, battered bus. You peer through the windows. Most of the seats appear to be taken, with the occupants motionless. A door opens with a hiss, and the hooded driver beckons you inside. Fuck no. We are, like, almost there. The road ends in a jumble of broken stone and shattered concrete. A whole city block lies in ruins. You don't know how long it would take to find a way around this devastation. Nearby you see iron railings around 3 sides of a stairwell going down. Back into the tunnels? No, a subway. You can feel the heat wafting up from below. It smells stale and unpleasant, like a fetid breath. Find another way. Because I feel like this entire city is a monster that has called me with its horns. The destruction here is extensive. At various times you find yourself doubling back. Or at least you think so. The vast grey ruins around you all seem to melt into each other, which makes keeping track of your progress difficult. I moved back. Eventually the ruins clear and you can see where the road becomes whole again. You feel less certain of your path to the horns. Horse-haired wraith-like horror. Okay. And... okay, they're not tired, thank God. Okay. You pass an alley, a nearby signpost declaring it to be Spare Street. And it's... that doesn't sound good. And it is narrow, and the buildings forming its walls seem to have been tilted a few degrees away from vertical. A flicker of guttering light suggests the alley's interior is poorly lit. As you stare down the narrow passage, you hear a brief scream. It sounds human. Someone's down there. I have 4 party members, and it seems cruel. Fuck it. I gotta save them. You feel disoriented as soon as you enter the alleyway. First, you see a dozen pathways leading off into the fog. A blink later, and the scene is resolved into something simpler, saner. A path near an overturned clawfoot bathtub veers off to the left. Another to the right is marked by a small patch of ivy growing against the wall. Yeah, let's go towards the ivy, because the clawfoot bathtub in an alley doesn't make sense. The lamp here is dark, leaving the area gloomier than usual. A glow can be seen from the 2 exits to the left and right of you. To the left, the fog is thicker. To the right, the alleyway curves upward. Go left. I have no logic for why I'm going further into the fog. It just makes more sense than following something that seems warped. The paving here changes to oversized cobbles, each one 5 or 6 feet across. An empty wood door frame on your left leads to another alley. To the right, the alley narrows claustrophobically before being devoured by the fog. The right one is probably the correct choice, just because it's trying to evoke a fear of enclosed spaces. But also it could be the throat of some horrible monster. So I'm going to go left. One of the nearby walls is partially collapsed. The remaining rubble makes crossing the train awkward. Brick steps mark a downward path to the left. To the right, a small iron gate lies open, swinging lightly in the breeze. I will go through the gate. On a nearby wall, someone has painted a mural of corn stalks. Something about it disturbs you greatly, and your body begins to shake uncontrollably. You turn your gaze away from the mural and try to focus on a route out of here. Ahead, the path curves past a boarded-up doorway and off into the fog. The alley turns right, then abruptly left. The poor, flickering lighting does little to aid visibility. You almost trip over a pile of rags. A flicker of lamplight reveals the bedraggled figure rocking back and forth. They look up at you in surprise at your arrival, and then begin rising to their feet. You realize they're a survivor like you. Another flicker from the lamp allows you to see them more clearly. He's a handsome young man. You realize that he too seeks the Hoynes. You move forward past the remaining rags and down a few stone steps. The alleyway ends and you find yourself standing on a wide road. So he was almost at the end? Or was he at the beginning of the other side of it, and then it just freaked him the fuck out and he couldn't move anymore? A nearby sign reads Spare Street. Glancing back to the alley, you now see nothing but a boarded up storefront. Only the signpost suggests Spare Street ever existed. We're almost there. The street narrows, becoming something more akin to an alley. Looking up, the buildings seem to curve inward at the top, blotting out all light. Peculiarly, while several ground floor windows adorn the buildings on either side, there are no doors to be seen. Something dark moves in front of a distant street lamp for a moment. You hear a yammering shriek in the distance. Something is moving this way. You look for an exit and see only glass windows. I will move on, actually. You stare down the street in an attempt to see where the imminent attack is coming from. Nothing, only fog. You hear a distinct sound of heavy footfalls, louder with each passing second. Whatever it is, you're sure it knows you're here. A spined bestial shape emerges from the gloom and begins to move towards you. This is where I use my potion of concealment. You run through the streets, tripping over rubble and barbed wire. The distraction allows you to get away from the shape. You manage to find the path again fairly easily. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. You hear the blare of horns somewhere in the distance. Darkness rolls over you like a wave. The road ends at a pair of enormous carved wooden double doors. Light spills from the faint crack between them. You hear whispers from behind them. You look around, there's nowhere else to go. You push at the doors. They move effortlessly despite their mass. As they swing to a stop, you can see the interior of the building plainly. It's lit by 1,000 purple candles. Oh, there's no path here. I think we are here. You see a great hallway leading to a large circular chamber. The fog does not touch this place. Great stained glass windows in the hallway reach the vaulted ceiling. Their patterns shift and transform under your gaze. Ahead, beyond the candle's light, you see a faint purple flicker. I feel like if I look too hard at the glass, it's just going to cause more sanity damage. You hear the blare of horns somewhere in the distance. Darkness rolls over you like a wave. You feel a subtle rumble beneath your feet. The landscape begins to bend upward in all directions. Though the fog limits your vision, you are certain that the world is curving in on itself. You feel a sense of vertigo and claustrophobia. Your entire reality will soon become the inner surface of a vast sphere. Your head begins to ache as you attempt to process the clenching land around you. Accept it. You feel the pressure build, and it occurs to you that the sphere around you is shrinking, tightening. You close your eyes and reach out. Your outstretched hands begin to feel the grainy surface of the sandy ground. You accept the sphere as reality. As you do so, your center of gravity shifts with a rush of acceleration, and a bright pain spears through your head. You're aware that your position within the sphere is altered greatly. You feel more certain of your path toward the horns. You reopen your eyes to see the familiar sparkle of flat black silica stretching out before you. It takes a few moments for the pain in your head to subside. At last, though, the throbbing my party's gone. The throbbing fades and you look out on the empty sands once more. The handsome young man tells you that he used to be a courier. You remember something like a vast, frail spider, a whirl of chitinous limbs unstitching you from reality, refashioning you. There was pain, and then the nerves that registered the pain were also gone. You awoke in the company of others like you. At first you thought they were silent despite their open mouths. Then you realized your mistake and felt the sound. From each of you issued an unending cry, a call out to those in the broken world as you were. Ah, man. From each of you issued an unending cry, a call out to those in the broken world like you were, a cry like the sound of horns. Congratulations, you reached the horns, surviving 35 scenarios. At the end, you led 5 living companions. You lost 1 along the way. You fought 10 battles and won 3 of them. no one will remember that you retained some humanity. Play the game again to see more scenarios and learn more about what happened before the fog came. Well, that's the end for us. I highly recommend that you download this, because honestly, I've been feeling a lack of choose your own adventure stuff in my life. So, check the description, there's a link to this, and see whether you survive. But until the next video, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you around. Bye.